Welcome to part 5, the final part of the PDHPE mini lecture series. So, we've covered all of Core 1, we've covered half of Core 2, and we're here, we're on the home stretch. So, I haven't included everything, not gonna lie to you there, but I've included some parts that I think some students might neglect or forget to study when they're like in the hustle and bustle of getting ready for exams. They kind of tend to focus on the bigger parts of the syllabus. So this video, I've chosen some of the parts that you might forget about, or that you're like, oh, nah, they're not gonna test me on it, and when you get into your exam, it's there. All right, so let's get started. So we've got supplementation. So supplementation includes vitamins and minerals, protein, caffeine, and creatine products. So vitamins and minerals, they aid in your body's metabolism and energy release. However, these vitamins, you can get them through a healthy, nutritious, balanced diet. They're like, oh, you need this vitamin for that, or this vitamin for that, when you see on the TV ads. But, if you're eating a balanced diet, you don't actually really need them. And when you have too many of those vitamins in your body, like your body can only have so many. So, you can get fatigue, headache, difficulty sleeping, and nausea. However, vitamin supplementation is necessary when you've got a deficiency, such as a vitamin D deficiency, or some people might have a calcium deficiency, which is quite common in the elderly, in particular females, which you guys would also know if you do sports medicine. So I've got another multiple choice question for you from 2 years ago. Why is an adequate intake of vitamins important in an athlete's diet? Okay, pause the video, have a read through. That's right. The answer is B. It's because they act as catalysts to assist in energy metabolism. All right. So it's not because they are energy-rich nutrients. Vitamins don't have energy. They increase the oxygen carrying capacity of blood. That is definitely not a vitamin's job. This would be in relation to altitude training to increase hemoglobin. That's C. And D, they restore bone density when used with load-bearing exercise, and that would help with, that would be in relation to calcium supplementation. So that's a really specific one, but in general, vitamins, they act as catalysts to assist in energy metabolism. The next type of supplementation we have is protein supplementation. Now, if you go to the gym, or someone that does go to the gym, a lot of them might have protein shakes, as you can see down there. But you can also get protein from a diet. So from the foods that you can see down here, so from fish, spinach, chicken, eggs, potatoes, and some nuts and avocado. Those are foods that are rich in protein. Protein is really important to have in your diet because it aids in the growth and repair of muscle tissue, which is why it's quite popular for athletes in strength-related activities, a lot of field athletes and weightlifters. Although an excess consumption of protein can result in excess body fat. So the next part of supplementation is caffeine, one that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, and that's because it's a stimulant that is used to enhance alertness and concentration and help stay awake. But it can also help in glycogen sparing, and this is something that's useful when you're in an endurance event. So it helps use fat before glucose, so that it spares that glycogen for your sprint finish. The effects of caffeine are usually seen about an after it's been consumed. However, big however, usually the side effects or the negative effects of caffeine usually outweigh its benefits, and these include an increased heart rate. Your heart rate's already increased when you're in a game or when you're an athlete and performing. So you don't want to increase that even more. It's a diuretic, so it can make athletes dehydrated because it makes them want to go to the bathroom and lose those fluids. Can make you feel nauseous, anxious, and can impair those fine motor skills. So some people might get the shakes when they have caffeine. And then we've got creatine products. So the reason why creatine supplementation is used is because it aids in the resynthesis of ATP. However, similar to protein and all the other supplements, creatine can be obtained through a balanced, healthy diet, especially through meat. Although usually athletes that participate in strength activities and strength-related sports might need it a little bit more because it helps in anaerobic activities, and it also helps increase muscle hypertrophy. Although, having said that, the body can only store a limited amount of creatine, which means that when you take in too much creatine, it just gets excreted through your urine. And it's also got a couple of side effects, which include weight gain, similar to protein, muscle cramps, and it can affect your liver and kidney function. So now we're here at the last focus question for Core 2. And to get this section started, I'm going to give you a question from the 2016 paper. It was only a 4-marker, but it required a lot more thinking because you had to remember the types of feedback and then use that in the context of the stages of skill acquisition, so cognitive, associative, and autonomous. So you'll see it there in the next slide. So you've got your cognitive stage of skill acquisition. So this is the point when they're first learning how it works. And at this point, it's really important to use external feedback from whoever's teaching them this skill, because they probably haven't developed kinesthetic sense yet. They don't have a full idea on what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong. So at this point, it's also really important to provide positive feedback to keep encouraging them. And then you come to your associative stage, when they might start to receive external feedback from their coach. That's also concurrent. So while they're performing, they can start to learn how to adjust what they're doing. So say they are shooting a goal, the coach can tell them what they're doing wrong and that they can adjust that as they go on. And then you've got the autonomous stage, and this is when an athlete would have a well-developed kinesthetic sense, which means they don't necessarily need external feedback. They do get it. However, they can sense within themselves when they are doing a skill right or wrong and can automatically adjust how they're performing that skill. Feel free to pause the video here just so that you can get down a couple of notes. So as I mentioned earlier, never, ever, ever neglect anything on the syllabus. It's all fully examinable. An example of this is in 2015, for whatever reason, after our PDHPE exam, everyone went on and said, what on earth are the performance elements? A lot of people, for whatever reason, neglected it. It's right there in the learning environment. It's part of the syllabus. So we got the question, why is it important for an athlete to develop the elements of performance? And it was worth 8 marks. That's a massive, massive chunk of the HSC exam. So I will go through with you the performance elements. So you've got decision making and strategic and tactical development. So athletes, it's really important for athletes to be able to have good decision making skills, because when they're in a game situation, they don't have a lot of time to think about it. They just have to kind of go with it. So when they're training, they also have to learn not just their skills, but also how to make those decisions, which is particularly important for tennis players and other sports where you're reliant on an external, where you've got an opponent. And then you've got your strategic and tactical development. So this is being able to gain an advantage over your opponent. Over there in that photo, in this slide, is a photo of zone. So this is a strategy used by basketball teams when they're defending. They're defending the key over here, and the little circle at the top is the basket, with the number 1 being their opponent. So that's a formation used in basketball. Another question I have got for you. From 2014, which group of physical skills is best acquired using massed practice? And I've given you the answer, and it's mass practice practices skills that have a distinct beginning and end. Alright, and so my final tip to you guys is not to stress. You guys already know your content, so no need to cram anymore, no need to pull those all-nighters. It's all about putting that content into questions that you might get for the HSC. So practice your past papers and learn your syllabus. Good luck for your HSC exams. You guys don't have long now. I do apologize for the limited time that we had. So to get the complete PDHPE notes for Core 1 and 2, you can head down to atarnotes.com and get our notes in the shop section. You also might be able to get a couple of free notes in the notes section, and maybe some notes on the options too. Alright, thanks guys.